Hi, so I've been working really hard and I've been to college learning. So now I need to read you two bits of the book, I think, to play a little bit of catch up. So we are reading our donut that, or should I say, the jam donut that ruined our life. And this part of the chapter is called How's My Boyfriend? After Rosie ran inside to fetch her, Mrs. McDonald marched outside and started shaking me by the shoulders and screaming at me to tell me what had happened to Mr. Wiggles and where he'd gone. She seemed to think it was all my fault and he was still missing, honestly. In the end, Mr. Noblet had to prise her hands off of me and tell her to go inside and rest. But that wasn't the end of it. When we went back to the class, the donut that Gamble had left as bait was gone. The cage was empty. This meant Mr. Wiggles must have come back into the classroom, stolen it and taken it off somewhere while Mrs. McDonald was outside. Apparently this was my fault as well, because she'd only stopped watching the cage to come outside and tell me off, so she went completely ape at me. In fact, Mrs. McDonald was so angry that Mr. Noblet sent us out for an early break time to give her time to cool down. I went outside and sat on a bench on my own, rubbing my sore nose and cheeks, because if you remember, he got bitten by Mr. Wiggles. Yet another injury to my face caused by the deadly donut. Well, it was actually Mr. Wiggles, not the donut. Soon I'd be so hideous I'd have to start wearing a mask. Sorry, bad timing, eh? Jane came and sat next to me. Hi, Romy, she grinned. How's my boyfriend? I turned back on her, even though I was pretty happy that she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. It meant I no longer owned minus 52 donuts. I guess that I was meant to act upset. I don't know, I said over my shoulder. Why don't you go and find him? Jane laughed. Oh, Romy, she said. I didn't dump you for Darren. He's revolting. I tightened my lips. Oh, come on. Remember when he went to the toilet behind the football goals? Disgustingly enough, this was exactly true. Gamble got in mega trouble for it, but he said he only did it to mark his territory so that wolves and bears wouldn't come into the school grounds and hurt the children. She turned my shoulders around so I was facing her. I only went out with him so I could share his donut with you, she said. I wasn't sure how to feel about this. So, obviously, she said, twizzling her hair around her little finger, you'll be helping at the auditions this lunchtime. The what? The auditions for the people who want to perform at the tea party. Well, I hadn't really. And you'll still be bringing in the donuts for the old people tomorrow. I think that will be totally not to mention the two you promised me as well. Oh, this was awful. I was almost back where I started. I don't think I can do that, I said firmly. Jane didn't seem to listen. And maybe one more to celebrate us getting back together. I tried to speak. This time nothing came out. I knew I couldn't count on you, she said, giving me a peck on the cheek. See you at lunchtime. Doesn't seem too sure about all that, does he? Anyway, the next part of the chapter is called Out with the Dead Wood. PE was a disaster. We were practising fielding skills with Mr. Noblet, and guess what? I didn't catch a single tennis ball for the entire hour. Typical. Afterwards, I ate my lunch slowly. This was partly so I could be late for the audition and partly because it was chocolate sponge for dessert. Chocolate sponge is exactly the same as normal sponge, but they serve it brown. It takes ages to eat as it's always as dry as a lizard's underpants. Well, I can't say I've ever eaten a lizard's underpants and I'm not sure that I want to. When I got to the practice room, a group of barefooted 5-year girls were huddled in the corner. Kevin, the volcano Harrison, was sitting on the carpet, looking dejected and pressing the keys on his trumpet. On his trumpet? Jane was in PE? Jane was standing alone in the middle of the room. "You're late, Raymond. Where have you been?" snapped Jane, barely looking at me. I was about to open my mouth when she continued, "Unless the answer is getting the doughnuts for the tea party, then don't bother to say a thing." Wow, she was really in a bad mood all of a sudden. I decided to say something. "I was eating." Jane tutted loudly and turned to face me. Her eyebrows were locked together like a pair of fighting snakes. Typical. Why is everyone trying to ruin my life? I took a step backwards. I'd never seen her so stressed. One of the muscles in Jane's cheek was flickering. She clapped her hands and shouted over to the Year 5 girls. "Now come on, you lot! Are you finally going to do this dance without looking like a bunch of baby giraffes being electrocuted?" Oh dear, that sounds a bit painful, doesn't it? The Year 5 girls rolled their eyes at each other and slowly stood in a line in the middle of the room. I didn't really like the way Jane was acting, but still, I was her boyfriend, even though I didn't really seem to have any say in this matter. Maybe I should do something boyfriendly, I thought. I know. "Are you, okay?" I asked. It turns out this was a really bad idea. Jane spun round to face me so quickly I had to jump backwards. "No, I'm not okay. We've got 1 day left until the tea party. In the last 5 minutes, everything's gone wrong with the entertainment. First, the Year 2 recorder group dropped out because they didn't like being told to raise their game. You told them they sounded like a bunch of chimpanzees whistling through their nose," said one of the Year 5 girls. "They're only little." Jane blinked, trying to ignore her. "Then Kevin here tells me that actually he's only been playing the trumpet for a fortnight." Kevin fingered his keys. "I only know 2 notes and I'm not really got the hang of those yet. Plus, I get sick when I'm nervous." "On top of that," said Jane, her hands on her hips, "the Year 5 dance troupe was all the elegance of the bunch of overweight builders stamping on cockroaches in their work boots. How are we supposed to entertain these old folks?" It sounds quite funny to me so far. I don't know about you. What do you think? The Year 5 girls looked at each other, open-mouthed. "That's it," said one of them, stepping forward. "We're not here to be spoken to like that. Come on, girls." They all grabbed up their shoes and marched out of the room. "Fine," cried Jane after them. "Run away, with the dead wood. Pathetic." As soon as the door had closed, her shoulders crumpled and she began to cry. "Oh, Roman," she sobbed, flinging her arms around me. "I just wanted everything to be perfect so the old people could have a good time, and everything's gone wrong. All I'm left with is Kevin playing a fire engine siren." "I'm not even sure I can do that without throwing up," said Kevin sadly. Jane pulled her head away from my shoulder and wiped her nose with a tissue. At least it wasn't on his t-shirt, eh? "Oh, tell me you won't let me down, Roman. Tell me I can count on you to get those doughnuts." I felt really awkward and uncomfortable. I wasn't expecting to be hugged. My arms were crossed in front of my chest and I was doing my best to pull away. At the same time, and even though she had been seriously horrible, she was my girlfriend and she needed me. Surely I could do something to make her feel better. "Yes," I said, hoping that she'd let go of me. Unfortunately, this made Jane squeeze me even tighter. "Oh, thank you, Roman. At least the old folk will have something to eat, even if the entertainment is rubbish." I gulped. What had I done? Kevin cleared his throat. "Should I practice the fire engine siren again?" Right then, the door opened and Darren Gamble walked in, followed by Miss Clegg. I'm here for the auditions, innit? He announced. Jane began to cry again. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse. Gamble sniffed. Don't be sad just because I dumped you. I love him and leave him, that's what I do. Get rid of him, Roman, Jane ordered through her tears. Maybe we should just see what he can do, I said. I was starting to feel bad about how everyone treated Gamble like he's got the bubonic plague. Mostly he's just a bit excitable, but at least he tries to do the right thing, and I'm certain, reasonably certain, that he's not got the plague. Jane wiped her eyes and took a very deep breath. Fine, what's your talent? She said. I'm a proper good singer, me, said Gamble, grinning. My uncle said I sing like a mole. Can moles sing? I started to ask. What exactly are you going to sing? Asked Jane, interrupting me. Aren't you into heavy metal stuff? Yeah, said Gamble. I was going to sing this proper mad tune by a cannibal death crew called Brain Sandwich. But then I thought that old people probably wouldn't be into that. Jane slapped her hand across her eyes. Oh, tell me this isn't happening. Gamble grinned. So, instead, I'm going to sing Bar Bar Black Sheep. Bar Bar Black Sheep? Asked Jane. She suddenly started laughing like a crazy person. Oh, go on then, let's hear it. Why not, eh? This is going to be amazing, said Mrs. Clegg sarcastically. Now, I've never heard Gamble sing before, but I expected him to sound very similar to a live rabbit being ironed. My word, that sounds painful as well, these poor animals in this story. I closed my eyes as he took a deep breath and launched into his song. And then something incredible happened. He was absolutely brilliant. Seriously, his voice was soft and gentle, like a breeze through a dandelion clock. And there was this kind of deep sadness to it that just gripped you. Go on, Gamble. I thought, you show 'em. Miss Clegg, Jane and I stood there, our mouths gaped open as he finished his first verse. Well, I was not expecting that, said Jane. Even Miss Clegg was moved for a moment. Not bad. See, told ya, Gamble said, shrugging his shoulders. And then he kind of ruined everything by snorting loudly and spitting out a huge blob of something that looked like cottage cheese onto the carpet. Wow, I said. Amazing, said Jane. Just don't do the last bit when the old people are here. Well, I can't promise anything, said Gamble, rubbing it in with his foot. But I'll try. Thank you, said Jane. Well, that's the entertainment sorted. The old people will love him. She kissed me on the cheek. Now, all we need is the doughnuts. And that is the end of the chapter. And the new chapter, ready for next week, is called After School. I get a lift in a getaway van. Right. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.